Welcome in, welcome in. I'm going live on two places on YouTube. On YouTube, it's a little bit easier for me to answer people's questions and engage. But joining from TikTok or YouTube is cool with me. Carrie, how you doing? Thank you for the likes, guys. Yeah, you know the drill. Lots of likes helps get people in here, gets the discussion, gets the energy up. Oh, thank you so much. Salutations. Hi, Phoenix. Appreciate all the... Oh, hey, Cassius. Yeah, I recognize you hanging out all the time. Thank you. Yeah, do it. Join in. Hello, hello, hello. Hey, guys, welcome in. I'm doing live from two places. I always hate the warm up. Got to wait for people to get in here. The likes help a lot. If we can get the likes up. I'm going live from TikTok and YouTube for the first time as an experiment. Yo, yo, yo. Thanks for the likes, guys. Likes, share, helps a lot. Hey, Kat from France. Hello. Renelle. Kush. You really helped me think about the life I want. That makes me really happy. That's my objective. Reality selection coach. Thank you for the likes. Thanks, you guys. So you know the drill. Someone pick a topic. It's easier for me to... Is that Jared? If art is what makes the world go around, why do the powers that be devalue artists so much? Because the powers that be aren't interested in making the world go round. They're interested in the opposite of that. I have a spiritual thesis about this, that art is, creativity is a spiritual process. Creativity is a spiritual endeavor. Every religious spiritual tradition refers to their God as, understands God to be the creator. And artists are given the capacity to create like God. It is what gives humanity its dignity. Dignity meaning its superior status within the cosmos. And at any given moment, humans are subject to warfare within the spiritual realm. And I believe it's a central thesis of my work. Oh, hey, April. Welcome in. It's a central thesis of my work that the purpose of your life is to be creative. And so while we were all engaged in spiritual warfare, the reason that you might be stuck is not because you're broken or because you're defective or because you're not good or any of these things, or because you're too traumatized or because something bad happened to you or because you're unlikable or because you don't have the right content or this, that, and the third. You need to master some of that stuff, like marketing, branding, etc. Technique, certainly. Skillfulness, certainly. Discipline, certainly. But I would wager that the large reason that so many people are stuck is because they are engaged and perhaps on a more challenged side of spiritual warfare. And I ask people this all the time when I work with them, but if you feel stuck in your art, but also stuck in your spiritual journey, perhaps my work could encourage you to interrogate the relationship between those two things, that those are not two things that are running separate but concurrent, but they are in fact related, if not the exact same thing. If God is the creator, why would your stuck creativity not be a spiritual concern? Thank you for the likes, guys. Appreciate it. So what should we talk about? YouTube is a little bit easier for me to engage with. Either way, I don't care. There's a lot of people in here. Thank you so much. Art is chaos taking shape. Yeah, art, creativity is the human capacity to create, to turn the invisible visible. What advice would you give the creatives who struggle with ADD trying to handle multiple outlets? For example, I'm trying to balance being a director, businessman, chef, and singer. What advice would I give? The first advice that I like to give in this area is Please release the shame. One, of being multi-hyphenate. Two, I do hope, I don't know how you feel, but I think generally a lot of people are conditioned into talking about neurodivergence and stuff like that as if it's a defect because that's how the world treats them. A child, for example, who has dyslexia really has the capacity to read and see and comprehend in something that is more advanced than the linear fashion of reading from right to left or left to right, whatever it is that we do. Someone with dyslexia can comprehend and read more faster than we can. And they can read in circles and nonlinear shapes and patterns. Thank you for the likes, guys. I see it, even though I'm looking at the YouTube screen. It bothers me, said frankly, that people feel defective, that they relate to their neurodivergence as a defect. What is challenging is how the world is not set up to accommodate the way your mind works. But the way your mind works is advanced. If not that, then it, at the very least, is the way your mind is set up. And who are we to question and doubt for a second what we were handed to by God the Creator? Is how I feel. Can it cause us challenges, issues, problems? Can we be a little resentful? Sure, yes. But how to handle being ADHD, sometimes, I don't know how you feel about it, but kind of speaking to everybody here, there's 25 people on YouTube and 60 people on TikTok, that being neurodivergent is not a defect. So how to handle it, it oftentimes feels like to me that people are thinking about ADHD, certainly in relation to their creativity, as if there's some hurdle to overcome, that there has to be some strategy in which to make their ADHD brain be less ADHD. Can there, however, rather be a way to use your ability to, like, I have ADD, or so people tell me. I don't know. I don't really buy a lot of those diagnoses. Sometimes depending on what they are and depending on the person, but I don't think in a straight line. And that shit helps me. I think in circles. I can keep many tabs open and pull from them all at a timing that damn near my intuition decides when it's time to pull from that tab, say that thing, go in that direction, think in that thing. I am multi-hyphenate. I'm an opera singer. I'm a writer. I like visual arts. I have this content creation thing going on for me for the last several years. Thank God I have ADD, or else I wouldn't be able to do it. I am not supposed to go in a straight line. I am not supposed to focus on one thing. I am supposed to spend my life merging all of my capacity, all my skills, all my faculties into one central thesis, into one purpose. God made it so that I need to use my voice, need the skill of editing, need the skill of speaking, need the skill of singing, etc. I'm not the productivity girly. I'm not the hack girly. I'm the let's find the shame that is holding back our creative process girly. And see if we can find some way to imbue our creative process with the unconditional love that God gives us as creators. I love your work and your offerings. Thank you, Jasmine. But to finish out Chef's question, how to balance it. For me, a lot of this really shifted when I, again, removed the shame that I was multi-hyphenate and removed the shame that I have some sort of neurodivergence, that I was able to see the through line, answering Kat's question or Katie's question about finding your voice. I was able to find the voice and listen to myself. I don't have to find it. I already have the voice. I have to listen to it and practice trusting it. I was given the voice before I was born or at the moment of my birth. These are what the spiritual texts say, at least. This is why I say if you do not have a spiritual process and you're trying to be a creative, after a certain point, it's going to get sticky, because creativity is hard work, because it's the work of God. And doing the work of God is hard. Period. Why? Because we're not God. We're humans with dense little brains. What we are given is the capacity to listen to ourselves, and the vehicle through which we are given that capacity and that time and that grace is unconditional love. No matter what, guys, no matter what, no matter who you are, it's fine. As a creative, oh, you know what I wanted to do? Oh, you're welcome for talking about this. I'm trying to do both just in case. And thank you for the subscriptions, all of that helped me a great deal. I'm a one-woman show. This is my full-time job. I left a lucrative job in finance, doing this creativity, doing this TikTok stuff, and doing finance. I was doing both. And I took a $200,000 pay cut to do this full-time because God said to do that. So any support you can give would be greatly appreciated. One second. I can't get to everybody's questions. Oh, thank you. I'm so happy to talk about this. I prioritize the people who are subscribers if they have a burning question, the people who are, I think my supporter subscription on YouTube is $5 a month. And then there's a student subscription that's $15 a month. I just launched it about a week ago and I have like days worth of content and it's not up yet, but I'm good for it. Just give me a beat. I'm always a little bit delayed on admin because again, I'm a one-woman show for now. Supporter question, Kushaw. As a creative, I feel like I'm losing out on inner when I'm listening to a video while I work or listening to music, but I've just gotten used to the crutch. I don't understand your question. As a creative, I'm losing out on inner when I'm listening to a video while I work. Oh, you're asking, is it bad to listen to music while you're being creative? Are you supposed to have an empty mind? I want to answer this two ways. One, I cannot tell you what is right and wrong for your creative process. That a huge pillar of my work is teaching what the ancient sources say, what the old books and wisdoms say, what's on the cave paintings, the old samurai traditions, the old spiritual traditions say about growing up, and that growing up as a human being means exclusively is a process of growing up in your creativity. After a certain point, the artist has to learn how to, one, put themselves in the arena. There is no more waiting to be put into the arena. That's an illusion, certainly an illusion that is reinforced by capitalism, which wants to monetize your creativity away from you for the benefit of the market and not for the benefit of man. But the objective is to get yourself into the arena. That is a necessary stage in your coming of age. You need to get yourself in the arena, and then you need to tell yourself what to do. What is good for me? What do I need? What does my art need? Do I need music when I write, when I work, or do I need something else? Now, what I always say to people is that your question contains the answer, as it always does. That's your first lesson and your first clue that you are guiding yourself and that you are capable of putting yourself in the arena and managing yourself in the arena, engaging with yourself in the arena. As a creative, I feel like I'm losing out on the inner voice when I'm listening to a video. That is the answer to your question. Who am I to advise above and beyond what your instinct is telling you? Unless that instinct is fear, then as a friend and a comrade, as a teacher, I am compelled to highlight the fears that you cannot see because the fears are horseshit. You've already answered your own question, Kush. As a creative, I feel like I'm losing out on my inner voice when I'm listening to a video while I work, but I've gotten used to it as a crutch. It sounds like you know exactly what the answer is. Beyond that, I will say it is critical, especially in the context of spiritual warfare and things like that. Hey, Daisy, it's good to see you. Beyond that, It is critical that an artist, again, in the context of the spiritual stuff, the spiritual warfare, and the way that the world is, we're flooded with so many things to look at, and most of them are traumatic these days. If you can be scrolling online just trying to laugh a little bit, watch a few funny videos, watch a Get Ready With Me, learn about skincare, and then you see something demonic. Like, oh my God, what? TikTok for me these days feels like the dark web, to be frank. The other apps don't feel like that for me. The other apps just feel like a waste of time. TikTok feels dark to me. My point is that a mature artist, needs to learn how to maintain custody over their senses. That there are forces out there trying to infiltrate your vision, your ears, your experience, your senses. You can either participate in the fortification of your senses, which again, the senses are here to facilitate art making in every human being, just in the same way that every aspect of a bird is orienting that bird towards flight. Every aspect of your being wants you to be creative. Your joints want you to be creative. Your skin wants you to be creative. Your eyelids are oriented towards creativity. You can either participate in the fortification of your senses or participate, because we are given free will, to participate in the exploitation of your senses. It's very serious. You could wake up in a good mood and then you just do your little habit, scroll, and then you see a video. You see a video and it reminds you of something that you're going on in your personal life. Maybe you're getting in a fight with your boyfriend. And the videos are talking about anxious attachment style and how come they don't communicate. And a couple of them resonate, they give you some food for thought. But then because the algorithm, not only does the algorithm, not only do the algorithms focus on your, do they not only do the algorithms exploit your interests, of course, to waste your time, to get you to buy things. More critically, according at least to my pattern recognition, and I could be wrong, I'm happy to be wrong. More critically, these algorithms exploit your fears about your interests, not your concerns, not your questions, your fear in the spiritual, energetic sense, which is a very specific thing. It's a vulnerability that a human has in their dignity, in their divinity, in their spirituality. A fear is an open gate. Energetically, the function of fear is to allow for lies, deception, weight, spiritual weight, like a 10-pound weight, so to speak, to weigh you down. So you're scrolling. And I believe that these algorithms, if they can't, at the very least, we know that they read our body language to such a level of sophistication that they can infer what our body language says about our interior dialogue. But I believe that they probably have the capacity to actually read our minds. We certainly know that they have the capacity to listen to us. We figured that out a decade ago. But beyond that, what's going on? Let's say, for example, you have a fear, you're having a relationship, something. Google has snitched on you because you've been Googling bullshit about yourself, trying to ask the internet what to do about your life rather than pray about it or meditate or ask a friend. Remember that? Remember when we used to ask people for things? Remember when we used to be vulnerable? Remember when we used to pray? Remember when we used to watch our grandmothers pray about things? And now we Google it. Nothing wrong with Googling it, but in place of prayer, that's a slippery slope. So you have some thought on your mind. And thank you for the likes, YouTube. I appreciate it. So you have a slippery slope. Going through some fight with your boyfriend. Hey guys, thank you for the likes. We can keep the likes going on both. Share, ask comments. I also have a goal here, super chat goal. Helps me a lot. If you're moved by this, it helps me. I set aside time to do these lives because it's my job to help people with their creativity. So any support that you can give helps a lot. But yeah, so here you are scrolling on the internet. At the same time, you're going through a little fight with your boyfriend. You don't like the way he communicates. So you watch a couple videos, and then the algorithm understands that you're watching those relationship communication videos, and then it feeds you some more things quicker. And then all of a sudden, you're in this rabbit hole. You're in this tunnel. And the tunnel that you're in is not just, it's not relationships. That's what it's coded as. That's what you see it. That's a hashtag. But what it really is your fear that something is wrong with you, that something is wrong with them, exploiting something where you feel unsafe, exploiting your worst possible fears, your worst possible thoughts, rather. The most toxic thoughts that you have are what the algorithm is built on if you are not careful. And so the question was 28 minutes ago, I'm sorry, I'm long winded. The question was, I tend to listen to music and stuff like that, and it's kind of a crutch, and what do I do about it? And my answer was to maintain the custody of your senses. Because you woke up one day ready to create, and then you watched a few videos. And not only did you waste time, and not only does it erode your capacity to hold your attention span, but now you're inside of your fears, and you're inside of the fears that feel real. You're inside of the fears that feel, you're inside of a fear, and existing inside of the fears, inside of a real experience in your life. And so the fear, the texture of fear becomes confused for what is real in your life. You're not just thinking about your relationship, which you probably should be doing. You're thinking about your fears. Thank you guys so much. And then because of that, now you're afraid. And then what happens? And now you don't have the courage, the energy, the stamina to do your creative work. And you think that you don't have the stamina to do your creative work because of your relationship. But God does not treat us like that. And that's not a Hallmark card. That's not about being hopeful. That's not an Instagram truism. I try my very best to translate very rigorous theological, spiritual, philosophical understandings about God and to make them accessible. God does not do that to us. I'm going to send you this person. Unconditionally loved. And now here you are, because your objective as a human being is to be creative like God and to aspire to your godliness through this life like God, to understand God through creativity, through the umbilical cord that is creativity. That's your objective. And now suddenly, oh my gosh, thank you guys. Thank you so much. For what it's worth, everybody on TikTok is beating the YouTube in terms of likes and donations. It's not a competition, but that's unexpected. Thank you. Here you are, born so that you can discover God within the intimacy of your own talents. How intimate is that? I get to discover God through my own voice as an opera singer, through my own writing, through my own experiences that I will later write about, through the music that I feel, through the sunset that I translate into my paintings, whatever it is. That's not only is that my objective, that's the grace that God gave us to discover, to be the infant human race that was granted extraordinary dignity and privilege and grace to discover him even within the infancy. That's our objective. And so the evil forces, not in the metaphorical sense, have constructed an algorithm. One of them in charge of it is called Oracle. Another guy called Palantir, the evil eye of the mythological world, etc. The app itself is called TikTok. TikTok. Is sending you an algorithm that is designed to keep you afraid so that you do not pursue your purpose. You must maintain the custody over your senses. I always say this, do not open these apps, these algorithms, these short form, quick algorithms. YouTube is a little different unless you're on shorts. TikTok is the worst by my pattern recognition. And again, I don't know if I'm right about this. I'm happy to be wrong. I hope that I am. Maintain the custody over your senses so that you can fortify yourself, because it's under attack constantly. This is grave, and you know that I'm right. Maybe maybe for some of you, this is going over some of your heads. Some of you know exactly what I'm talking about. Some of you know exactly, can trace and detect the relationship between how TikTok has changed in the last year and then the year before that, even in the last 6 months. At the beginning of the year, I noticed another shift. It's darker. The comment sections, we judge each other, we make fun of each other, we laugh at each other, we waste each other's time. We imitate each other. We sit and we don't create anything new on these apps. And I love TikTok. TikTok is the reason I was able to sustain myself with my creativity. I love art, and there's nothing against the creators at all. Everyone is perfectly well intended. Do not open these apps until you have settled your nervous system. I did a experimentation when I first started to really notice this. Started to feel really weighed down, not just because I was wasting my own time. The screen time is off the charts for all of us. Right now, we're getting hammered. I'm on 2 screens right now. Thank you so much, guys. But I did a challenge where I just didn't open the apps at all, and I meditated a lot that day. I did 24 hours, and I meditated more than I ever have in one day. I went to Mass. I'm Catholic. I went to Mass. And then when I woke up, opened my app, my algorithm was paradise. Green pastures, still waters. I hadn't opened my phone for 24 hours. And it was all God, beauty, nature, because I had settled my nervous system. I notice when I'm in a bad mood, when I'm dehydrated, when I those days where you scroll instead of actually drink water. Everyone knows that. Haven't cleaned your house, haven't done the dishes in several days, but you will scroll for sure. That's not your nature. It's not your attention span. That's not your ADD. Someone is coming to exploit the faculty that you have over your own senses. Yeah? Anyway, I ran on and on. Let's see if there's another question. Thank you, realest woman on the internet. Thank you. Just coming here to say the Villain Challenge graduate. Oh, who's Dion? Yeah, let's talk about the Villain Challenge. So the Villain Challenge is my kitchen, everything that I've got in the kitchen sink. Not everything, but most of what I care about is in the Villain Challenge. It's a course that I offer. It's a 30-day course and challenge. I call it Villain Challenge 75 Hard, but for creativity. It is everything that I have learned and surveyed from mythology, philosophy, spirituality. Not everything, but a lot of it about creative maturity. It's a course on creative maturity. How to get out of your own way. How to face and overcome the biggest block in your creative process, which is you. Not your defect, not your lack of talent, not your lack of money. Thank you so much. You are the block. And I don't mean that as to be mean, but this is in the same way that every caterpillar must become butterfly. Every human must face how they are in their own way so that they can be proper stewards of their art. No longer are we waiting to be seen, waiting to be given permission. No longer are we waiting for validation. Well, at some point, every human being must discover that they have already been sufficiently validated by God and their experience, not only validated, but ordered, commissioned. That art is a technology of making God and his unconditional love accessible to other people. And talent is a technology of getting that done. Talent is this concentration of facility within the 5 senses. 5 senses are everything that a human has. Blind are we in this infinite cosmos, except for our eyes. I can't even if someone were to put a strawberry in front of me, my eyes are closed. I can't touch it with my hands. Eyes are closed, hands are like this. I can't touch the strawberry with my hands. I can't see it. If you were to put a strawberry on my thigh, I wouldn't know that it was a strawberry. That's how blind we are, except for the five senses. God elevated that limited capacity. These little tiny five senses. All the upper dimensional beings have 45 senses and shit. They're zipping and zapping. They can teleport shit, 3D print with their brains. We got eyes that don't even work that well. Can't see that far. Can only see 7 colors. God gave us, within those limited senses, the capacity to do what only God can do, make the invisible visible. Flowers can't do that. Mountains can't do that. Anyway, the Villain Challenge is a monthly course and challenge. 75 hard for creativity. There are rules. Daily 45-minute workout, daily 10-minute meditation, 45 minutes on your creative work every single day. Abstain from a vice. Maintain an impeccable creative space. Clean your house. House has to be clean every single day. Reset your kitchen, your workstation, whatever it is, every single day. A couple other rules. So in the challenge, we go through the rules together. There's a Discord for everybody. So far, there's about maybe 25 people signed up. Last month, there were about 60 or 50. And there's weekly 2 to 3 hour workshops with me on what? On the villain. And why does the villain matter for creativity? Thank you so much. The villain in mythology is the character that exists as a threshold for that hero, for the protagonist of every myth, which is the hero, to go from student to master. The villain sits at the threshold of the eye of the needle, the pearly gate, of finding your way onto the path, Wu Wei. This is the Tao. The villain explicitly antagonizes the fear that the hero mistakes for virtue. The villain is not anything else in traditional mythology. Traditional meaning serving some primordial function. It's a tradition. Mythology is a tradition. This modern superhero film shit, that's not mythology. Sometimes it can be, but it isn't often. The lesson from mythology, the oldest mythology, the ones from the cave paintings, the ones that are 2,000 years old, from the Greeks and Romans, and before that, Hindu philosophy, etc., 5,000 years old, Siddhartha, Gilgamesh, Odysseus, the Iliad, Homer, etc. The villain antagonizes, accelerates the hero's coming of age, helps the hero to face a blind spot that they mistake for wisdom, fear that they mistake for wisdom, fear that they mistake for virtue. For example, you are stuck in your art as a little hero, Luke Skywalker. Stuck in your art because every time you get to, say you're a writer, every time you sit down to write, you have this fear that when you write, you read your sentences back to you and you sound stupid. Man, that was a terrible sentence. I hated that. And so then you're stuck. The hero, you in this case, in the mythological sense, believes that what they value in themselves, what is good and true, is intelligence, wisdom, lyrical writing, technique. That is a virtue, or so the hero thinks. And so they're stuck because I'm not smart enough. I have this virtue of being a smart writer, intelligent. It has to be scientific, it has to be academic sounding, or whatever you are as a writer. You are carrying this story that intelligence is how to become a writer. The villain shows up in the mythological story to say, hold on, you don't have a virtue of intelligence. You have a fear of stupidity. You are ashamed of the fact that you might not be the smartest writer in the world. You're ashamed of your mediocre writing. The villain shows up on the scene in every story, in every true myth, to say, you are hiding. But you're not just hiding outside of the arena. You're hiding outside of the arena behind a fear that you pretend is a virtue, a fear that you pretend is wisdom, or that you confuse for wisdom in your own mind. The villain forces the hero in the mythological story to see that they are, in fact, in this case, in this example, mediocre. You don't have a fear of mediocrity, son. You're mediocre. And then what does Luke Skywalker do when he says, I am your father? He has a fear of the dark side. You don't have a fear of the dark side. You're clinging to the light, not because light is a virtue. You're clinging to the light because you have a fear of the dark side. But let me tell you what, son, I'm your father. You've got just as much darkness in you as I do. What does Luke Skywalker say? No. The lesson from mythology is that mature artistry is not about compensating for your perceived defects. It's not about outrunning them. It's not about outgrowing them. It's not about hiding them from other people. It's not about waiting until those defects magically fix themselves. It's not about trying to fix your defects. Why? Because you are not defective. God is the creator and made you intelligently. God knows that you want to be a writer and that it feels like time for you to go into the arena, and knows that you're not a PhD in literary theory. He knows that. What your art needs in order to get out of your own way is not for you to overcome mediocrity, stupidity. It's for you to embrace it. How is the artist who is just getting started, the writer who's just getting started, who really wants to be vulnerable, who feels so much pressure, agony, because they're not in the arena? It's been 5 years since they've created something of something that they're proud of. Been stuck for years. How does the writer who has a fear, who is ashamed of their bad writing, get out of their own way? Write poorly. Write something bad. Write something mediocre. A writer, and what this teaches us, what the hero learns, what the mature artist learns from this, because they had this outgoing fear, or they had this rule system for the first 30 years of their life that it's bad to be a bad writer. It's bad to be mediocre in their writing. The artist goes through that, accepts the truth. Man, I am mediocre. Shit. I'm over here comparing myself to James Baldwin and James Joyce and shit. And I can't even consistently write 2 paragraphs for Substack. Let me touch grass. What does the hero get? 1, humility. 2, they get to see something in themselves that they were once ashamed of. And now the villain teaches them how to love it unconditionally. Damn, I'm mediocre, man. Would you look at that? I'm mediocre and I still get to be a writer. Fuck. Wow. And then, with that unconditional love of these parts that they don't like, they now have the lightsaber, the elixir, Joseph Campbell calls it. They now have the lightsaber to get out of their own way. You're stuck not because your writing is mediocre. You're stuck because you're afraid to let it be mediocre, because you think that mediocrity is shameful. But it's not, because it is unconditionally loved as a law of the cosmos. So imagine how you would write if you had no fear whatsoever about writing something awful. You would be writing all day long. Oh, I don't give a shit. So the villain challenge, what I've just covered is maybe the first 10 minutes of the orientation call. In total, there's about 15 hours of live lecture for me, or you get the replays if you can't attend live, or if you live in a different time zone, something like that. That's about the first 10 minutes. The intro. The villain challenge is about getting you to discover what this critical fear is. It's not a fear that it's not something that you can name. It's something that you're hiding from. So it requires shadow work. So we do shadow work in the first week together to discover this deep fear. And then from that deep fear, let's say for the example, you discover that you have a fear, you're afraid, you say to yourself, my work is bad, but what it is that you're deeply ashamed that you are stupid. You're not the sharpest tool in the shed. You know that, and you're ashamed of it. You've been trying to outrun that fact your whole life, compensate for it your whole life, do everything except face the fact that you know damn well that you're not the sharpest tool, and your writing reflects that. That's week 1. Week 2, we establish as the creators that we are, the creative people that we are. Everyone builds and writes, authors a lore, a character, their inner villain. So the villain challenge is not about pretending to be Darth Vader and doing bad and having vengeance and shit. That's whack and it's horseshit. There's no precedent for that within the 10,000-year-old tradition of mythology. Oh, let's go look at the backstory of the villain and see why that doesn't exist. That doesn't matter at all. Why? Because the protagonist of the story is the hero. It's about the hero's journey, not the villain's journey. Who gives a shit about the villain's journey? We're compelled by these characters because of their impact on us, because of what they reflect in us, because of what they motivate us to do. That's the function of mythology. These characters, the villain, the goddess, the hero, the warrior, even the yellow brick road, the ruby slippers, even the lightsaber. In mythology, they're archetypes, they're symbols, powerful symbols that make us reflect on ourselves. So the villain makes us reflect on the fear that's in our way. That's why Agent Smith is so compelling. That's why Miranda Priestley's character in The Devil Wears Prada is so compelling. Not because she's mean, because it's getting us to look at ourselves. It's a mirror to fear. And not just any fear, the fear that is in the way of you becoming a master of your artistry. The hero is a metaphor for the artist. That's not a take. That's not an interpretation. That's not a neat way of looking at it. That's what it is. That's the secret held inside of every single myth. Neo in the Matrix, Star Wars, the Karate Kid. All anime. Not all, but you know what I mean. Anime is pretty locked in. So week 1, you figure out your fear. Week 2, you build a lore for your inner villain. Who is this character that you're so afraid of? So if you discovered that you have a fear of stupidity, and you've been trying to be Little Miss Smarty Pants your whole life, Little Miss People Pleaser, straight A, afraid to make a mistake your whole life, guess who your villain is? Dumb as rocks. Stupid, making mistakes left and right. Imagine a villain in a story that made mistakes all the time. They'd be impossible to defeat. So the Villain Challenge is a 30-day course with me. You have access to the Discord. The Discord is my general artist community where hundreds of artists live, and they're sharing their work. They're meditating together. They're doing animal flow this month. We are brainstorming together, writing together. There's an open mic night every Sunday in the Discord. So you have access to that. But then you also get to go through all of this work together. There's hundreds of journal prompts that I give you to get you to explore this stuff in a very meticulous fashion. You guys interested in this? No? You guys got quiet. You guys are just listening? The TikTok is flying. YouTube is different energy. YouTube people are probably at work or something, listening like it's a podcast. Skywalker, thank you. May the force be with you. So, shameless plug, link in bio. The first orientation call is tonight. The May challenge starts officially on May the 4th. May the 4th be with you and with you always. We start the official challenge, all the rules, all the discipline, that starts Monday. From all of the people who've already signed up, just got access to the Discord and they're getting oriented, prepping. Prep and orientation runs from tonight until Sunday. There's 2 orientation calls. Tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern, Saturday at 10 a.m. Eastern. You get the replays if you can't attend live. And then Monday, we all meet live and we start up the actual rules, the actual challenge, and the actual villainy. So you can go to the link in my bio. YouTube people. Is anyone thinking about joining? Is there anybody in the challenge? Can you sign up tomorrow? Yeah, absolutely. Is anyone thinking about joining? Anyone have any questions about that? Discount code. Yeah, join. I said you'll have the time of your life. Is there anybody? Let me see if I can get people in Discord to get on the live. If you're in the challenge, let me know. Yeah, you don't have to be a writer. It's entrepreneurs, business people. There was a finance guy in it last month. I'm not here teaching you technique. When I say creativity is a birthright of every human soul, I don't mean it just if you know how to paint. Your motherhood is artistry. Botany is artistry. Business design is artistry. Why? Because it's your purpose. You're here to create. You're supposed to give the universe something new. Creation is the Big Bang concentrated in you. This shit about vocation, something else that I talk about in my class is hammering home that creativity is not a vocation. Artistry is not a vocation, it's a tradition. It's the primordial gesture of the human species, in the same way that the most important gesture of a bird is to fly. A fish is swimming. They swim and they have babies. Humans are the same. We create and we have babies. That's it. Sign up, y'all. There's a payment plan. The May is the last one. I need to take a break over the summer. So it'll come back in the fall. And frankly, it'll be more expensive and longer. It's a month right now. The overwhelming feedback I get, to be honest with you, if you want to know what the negative reviews say, is that there's too much. Everyone loves it. It's just a lot of information. You can tell the way that I talk. It's like, damn, this bitch is really autistic. So it's just a lot of that. It's fun. And I try to do my best to mitigate all of that for you. But my point is that in the fall, maybe September, it'll probably come back. Instead of it being 30 days, it'll be 60 days, if not 90 days. And it'll have to be a little bit more expensive. So the $3.99, and I think right now there's a discount for $3.69. But if you use the discount code YouTube Friends, you'll get another 10% off. Link in bio. Thank you. Link in bio to sign up. It says on TikTok, if you go to link in bio, it says Villain Challenge, and it's right there. And then let me get the link to sign up for people on YouTube. We have a lot of fun, guys. Nope, that's not it. Yeah. Let me know if you guys, oh, thank you. YouTube Friends. Thank you so much, Maven. I appreciate that. And if you can't join, a like, a subscribe, sharing my work helps. If you can't pay me, the algorithm certainly will. If you guys on TikTok are not following me on YouTube, please, TikTok don't pay me anymore. TikTok used to pay me a couple dollars per 1,000 views. Now they give me like 3 cents per 1,000 views. YouTube gives me $12 per 1,000 views. So please like and subscribe. It helps if you can't afford it. My objective, frankly, is to give as much value for free as possible because I have no shortage of shit to say. So there's nothing like There's no like, I don't have the energy to like come up with a scheme to like do the behind the paywall shit, like, oh, string you along through a 50-second hook. No, let's talk. We have work to do. And if you want to support me, please do. I try to make it affordable. Again, the number one criticism that I get is that there's too much, and it could be, most people say this course should be a year. Tracy, oh my God, girl, I owe you a response. I'm so sorry. It's been a hell of a month for me. I owe you a response. Yes, of course. I would say that about 60% of the people join live. The rest of the people watch replays. People are joining from all over the world. There's a couple people from the Philippines. There's been people from China. There's a couple people from China last month, Shanghai. Have a replay watch party with people. Like the group is, there's a way to kind of meet people in different time zones in the Discord. And people have watch parties. A lot of people just stay up late. I don't understand that. I'm grateful for that. One of my friends is joining from Australia. Oh, you did? Oh my God, how was it? Anyway, I think you can tell that I'm not here to waste your time. I'm here to help for real, for real. And I promise you, and you can keep the replays for the rest of your life. So even if you can't keep up for the month, you'll have them forever until I figure out how to delete all that shit on Zoom, or I have the bandwidth to even do all that admin stuff, which I don't, frankly. You can join. That's a great question. Thank you. You can join the Discord without if you just want to be in the group, you can join the Discord. That's also in the link in bio. It says in TikTok, you can go to the link. It says join my artist collective. But for those of you who are on YouTube, the navigation is a bit different. Let me just get you a link. Anybody on YouTube want to be a moderator? I don't know how to do this. So the Discord, what does the Discord come with? It's unlimited co-working. The writers meet every Wednesday. There's an open mic night where people are just sharing their work or their drafts. People are doing animal flow meditation together. People are sharing their drafts, sharing their work, asking for support. I had a call with a bunch, like 6 people, and I was working on a creative issue that I had, and we were talking about it. So there's lots of community, and there's resources for people. Find this YouTube video about making content or working on your finances or how to write, whatever. It's organized by medium. So the writers, the fashion girlies, the entrepreneurs, the visual artists, etc. You also get weekly office hours with me. So I do office hours when I do big challenges. I can only do the office hours once a week. But yeah, I mean, people usually just use it to talk and share vulnerably. They share their journal prompts together. They hang out. They go on YouTube. They have one month we were up until 5 a.m. We had a slumber party. Thank you guys. I really appreciate it. Everything, every possible art form. Let me just go in the Discord. Does the month-long course come with access to the Discord? Absolutely. Every live course that I teach comes with access. So everybody in there is either they just found their way just from the straight Discord, or they're in there because they're in some existing workshop that I give, or they continue to renew every month. So there's the Villain Challenge, which is $3.99, but I think between the sale that's happening now and the discount code, YouTube Friends, it's a discount code. Someone please drop that in the chat. The discount code is called YouTube Friends. That gives you an extra 10% off. So I think it's like, yeah, it should be about 20% off when it's all said and done. So you can do that. That's the month-long thing. It's very intense. It's the 75 hard thing with 15 hours of workshops from me. It's very intense. There's journal assignment. There's a weekly creative assignment in addition to journal prompts. It's just very rigorous. It's like school, except there's no grades. Or you can just do the Discord. What resources would you recommend for a young poet? Let me finish that. Let me finish my pitch of my services, and then I'll get back to you. It's a good question. Thank you, Serena. So you can do the full course, which I highly recommend. It might be too expensive for you, but if you can't afford it, it is. I promise you. My objective is to change your life, and I can say confidently that I feel like I do that. My objective is to encourage you in a way that you've never even heard of. You've never experienced encouragement in your life like this. Why? Because I serve God and I'm on a mission. God doesn't want you to be afraid of yourself. God wants you to feel unconditionally loved. The live courses are Monday, but you get replays. The calls are between 2 and 3 hours. We give breaks depending on the size of the group. The last couple of groups I did were big, so there wasn't a lot of time for a group breakout, but yeah. So I'm talking about the Villain Challenge, 75 Hard for Creativity. We start tonight. The official challenge, all the rules and all the commitments, the 75 Hard and all the classes start on Monday of May, the first Monday of May, May the 4th, be with you. Starting tonight, April 30th through May 3rd, is orientation and prep. You got to get ready. You can't just start because it's a commitment. So the first prep call is tonight, 7 p.m. Plenty of time to join. You'll get all the links and stuff immediately. How long is the prep call? Lisa, you got to email me. Yeah, you can do the work on your phone. Of course. You don't need a computer. The Discord is an enhancement. It's not required. What's required is you to listen live to the calls or be able to listen to the replay. I give everyone a replay. Prep call should be about 2.5 hours, but you get a replay. Eastern time, 7 p.m. Eastern time. The link is in the bio. It's for everybody. It's for everyone, every human soul. Who is it really for? Let me just go to the website, the thing that you guys don't want to read, with love in my heart. Here's what it says. What if the missing piece of your best art belongs to your inner villain? You're not stuck because you're broken. You're stuck because you're scared of something inside you that your art needs. You're scared of something inside of you that your art needs. If you were here about 30 minutes ago, we were talking about mediocrity. Your art needs your mediocrity. Imagine. For 30 days, I guide you through the excavation, confrontation, and interrogation of your most critical creative block, you. You will never believe, and I always say this, you will never believe how thrilling it is and how liberating it is to discover what you are afraid of being on behalf of your art. Just discovering it opens you up into like, oh my God, I can do all of these things. It's liberating. It's the liberation that you're looking for. You're not looking for the liberation of being perfectly confident and infatuated with yourself. You're looking for the liberation of loving yourself unconditionally, which is not as hard as we think. Because God does the unconditional love, and God is comprehensive in his execution. The course is for anyone who needs ruthless advocacy or support from me or from a group, that's me, needs help putting pieces together. The course is for anyone who is sitting on a talent or an idea or a bit of inspiration but feels like it's a little too big. This course is for anyone who's ready to quit. Anyone who needs help getting back into the arena. Who feels weird, isolated, but chosen. You haven't had your shot yet, but you know you've got a talent and it's fucking buried. This course is for you, because that's who I am, or was. Seasoned professional, blubbering idiot, or someone drowning, everybody's welcome. Doesn't matter what your medium is. This class is also for nerds, neurodivergents, the women who run with the wolves, and anyone who loves myth, Star Wars, lore. Yeah? Who's thinking about joining? I feel like I just sold the shit out of that. Link is in bio. Art for me is a tech. You know what my art is? I'm an opera singer. I'm a writer, creative consultant. The question from TikTok is, what is art to you? But for me, the definition of art is a technology that God created to help humans make God's unconditional love accessible to other people. How else am I supposed to feel loved inside of heartbreak until I read a poem about heartbreak? Therapists can't help you with that. They can help with a lot of things. They're incredibly necessary. But making you feel, and even someone therapy practice is an art if they do it right. Hesitant, why? Why? It's probably going to be double the price. I'm telling you that. I've been doing this at this price, and it's not against your finances, and just in terms of how much work it is for me. You will feel that you got your money's worth, but if not by the orientation call, by week 1, and that week 1 after the first call, you have another 30 days. Yeah. Yeah, there's a payment plan as well. Carly, I got you, girl. I'm so excited. It's my joy. It's my life's work. It's lectures from me. We're conferring with the elders. We're getting examples from other artists. We're sharing. We're crying. I'm teaching you about classical music. You didn't know you needed it, but I promise you, I'll convert you because I'm an opera singer. Have I ever been to Africa? I've only been to North Africa. I don't know if that counts. Not that it's not in Africa, but you know what I mean. I haven't been sub-Saharan. How do I connect with the elders? Go read their work. Listen to James Baldwin's essays, interviews, Toni Morrison, Jackson Pollock. Read their writings. Most very serious artists left behind wisdom about the creative process. Most of them did. Somebody asked about, what do I do as a young poet? Read the book, Letters to a Young Poet. Or maybe it's this. How do I want to help others with my purpose? I don't understand your question. And like I said, if you can't join, I should be in the next week dumping a bunch of content that I've never shared with anybody on the paid side of my YouTube. My Substack is $10 a month, and there's a bunch of journal prompts there. But if you can't afford anything at all, I understand. I don't judge you. I don't care. I would do this for free, but I can't. I'm not trying to get rich. Not with this work. There's other things that I can do, but it's not for the stuff that you guys see. Sharing, liking, subscribing. Again, if you can't pay me, YouTube Corporation will. I get paid for every 1,000 views. And also, get your shit, get enough watching me, get your shit on YouTube. I'm not the only person with some advice and some wisdom and some interest. I started a course on Darth Vader, essentially, is what this course is, and all the villains of mythology. You got some weird shit in you. Start and let the algorithm pay you. Help me. I need help. Oh my God, you guys are joining. Thank you. You guys, we're going to have so much fun. So you should, if you just joined, you should be getting a welcome guide. The welcome PDF. Don't worry about too much. We'll go over that in the thing tonight. In the 7 p.m. Eastern. Tonight is the first orientation call, or you can attend Saturday, or you can do both, or you can listen to the replays. But in the email that you get to confirm, you should get the prep week PDF. You should also be getting the Discord link. Get in there, introduce yourselves. So a lot of people in there. Thank you. That's so cute. Is Darth Vader my favorite villain? Yeah. Darth Vader is my favorite character in all of literature. I love him because his redemption arc is so compelling. I don't count the prequels, at least in terms of Darth Vader's lore, because it's only until George Lucas, fairly recently in human history, have we gone back and learned what is it? It's of no interest to, it does the human species no good whatsoever to know why the villain is upset. What good does it do to encourage people to ruminate on what hurt them? What does that do? Find me the spiritual text. Find me the cave painting. Find me the old folklore where the hero is ruminating and building a character on what hurt them. It's wildly irresponsible. I love Star Wars. But this recent trend for Hollywood to create these superhero backstories is missing the fucking point. Are the stories interesting and are they well told? Yes. Are the characters compelling? Yes. Are we sad for Anakin and Obi-Wan's friendship? Are we sad about Padme and Anakin? Yes, of course. But that's not what mythology is. Mythology, the function of mythology is to carry the human spirit forward. Forward. So why on earth? And the human species depends on symbol, on archetypes, on mythology in order to get that done. Because we live in the matrix. Thank God there's a myth about that. So when I say we live in the matrix, you know what I mean. We live in the matrix, and so we need help decoding the symbolic language of our lives to know what our soul is actually experiencing. Our soul cannot and should not be experiencing ever any regression. It's not possible to regress. So why are we going back and learning why Cruella de Vil became Cruella? It doesn't matter. Anyway, if you signed up, which is several people just signed up, I'm very grateful and humble. And I take your creativity very seriously. I take it more seriously than you might at this moment, but hopefully the way I care about it is contagious. That's the objective. I don't believe that it rounds out the character. I think it slows the character down. I think maybe I think that a good storyteller needs to develop the material as to what the villain's motivations are. But do we, as an audience who depends on mythology to tell us a very specific story, because that's the tradition of mythology. Mythology is functional. It's not entertainment, it's function. Myth is a mirror. Just like when you go and look at a tarot deck, you look at the cards and you look at the deck and you don't know anything. You have a question on your heart, but then you look at a tarot deck and then someone brings you the Tower card. And then all of a sudden, because you saw that symbol, you suddenly understand what's going on in your life a little bit more. Mythology is a living tarot deck with a plot. So yes, does a good writer need to develop their characters? Of course. But does the audience need to spend time ruminating on what made the bad guy bad? No. We need to spend time ruminating in resonance with the hero because we are heroes. Yeah? How's that feel? Oh my God, Angel. That's something we get into week 3. I kind of go on a soapbox and become my mythology activist, if I can call myself that. Please don't worry about being multi-hyphenate. I've loved Star Wars since I was a little child, and now I'm using my interests as texture within my larger portfolio of talent to do my purpose. Don't worry about me being multi-hyphenate. Develop them the best way you possibly can. Sometimes one needs focus. Sometimes you need to sacrifice to do other things. But we are not here to be validated by our talents. We're here to use our talents to validate other people. So if you've got 10 interests, great. You probably have a very complex purpose, complex message to tell that needs the aid of many different types of talents. I love Star Wars. So, anyway, that's enough about the villain challenge. Again, the Discord you can join if you don't want to do that. And then after May, I'm not gonna be doing any big month-long courses. I'll just be doing one-off workshops, and it'll probably be all inside of my Discord. The vibe I think I'm gonna start pushing is summer school. Poetry nights, hanging out, one-off classes, chill, but all inside the Discord because I want to develop that a little bit more. Yeah, you can do the intro. You can do either or. You can do the orientation tonight or Saturday or both. Aw, Dr. Sith. Order 66, am I right? Anyone still upset about Order 66? Just me? Okay. Yeah, summer vibe out. That's kind of what I'm interested in. Gotta charge my phone. I don't know if it's gonna work. Anyway, what other questions do we have about creativity? I've only been on here for an hour, so we have time. Let's pivot away from me. For a bit. Anyone have a question? Anyone struggling with something? I'm putting a super chat goal here. It does help me a lot. And so you can't buy courses right now to support my work. Even the tiniest little things, super chats help me here. They help me in the algorithm. Oh, thank you. Oh, my sweater. Sorry. Yeah, just join. I got your back. I'm not going to leave you hanging. I'm not here to. I think anyone, if you've dealt with my content, you can tell I'm not here to waste your money or your time. Oh, that's cool. Listening while you paint. I love that idea. What are you painting? Well, don't let me distract you from creativity. That's more important. I'm about to quit my job, fully commit to my creative purpose. Any advice? After I quit my day job, I kind of had a panic attack. I crashed. To brace for that. Not everyone goes through it. But I it's impossible for me to quantify how much of my life force, my attention span, my reflexes, my fears, my creative impulses, my inspiration was being dampened by this obligation. Like in the last 3 years of I had a really great, my last job in finance was really wonderful. I loved those people, still do. I didn't want to leave, but I knew that I had to focus. What I'm trying to say is that you can't anticipate how much your creativity will open up. If you have to stay in a corporate job right now, that's okay. But I will just say, be prepared for your life to go quicker. Maybe not good or bad necessarily. I can't say that, but like things to start moving. Um, I would say, do not wait. Find a way to monetize your creativity and work on your creativity. Like there's the work that you guys see on TikTok is the stuff, and YouTube is the stuff that I monetize. But I have a lot of things in the back that I don't show people, that it's not ready to be public yet. So try to think about both. How does the artist rediscover their passion for writing, and what should they be writing about? How does an artist rediscover their passion for writing? Read. Read. A lot of times people are stuck because this idea of earning something or doing something or producing something has been confused for the creative process. The creative process is a spiritual process where you need support, help, inspiration. But people think, oh, I haven't created in a long time. And so they start to double down on the productivity side of creativity. And if that doesn't work, then they start to be hard on themselves. What you need is juice and sauce. So if you want to be a better writer, go be a fan of, if you want to be a better writer at all, you need to read. You must read. When is the next villain challenge? It starts today, May. My art is inspired by a lot of other people, as not as much as my own self and process. Can you speak about this? Maybe community's answer. My art is inspired a lot by other people and not as much from my own self and process. I don't understand. Here, can you just feel free to take up a little bit more space, Ketsil. I don't know how to pronounce your name. Forgive me. Take up a little more space and ask a longer-winded question. Until you do, I want to say this. My art is inspired by a lot of other people, but not so much my own self and my process. Can you speak a little bit about this? Maybe more community is the answer. What I want to say is that all of you, please put to rest the tendency to think that whatever idiosyncrasy is available in your creative process, anything that is different or weird, where you feel texture, something like that, please put down the tendency, the reactive gesture to think that there's something wrong with you. I have more than one interest. Any advice? Nothing wrong with that. I'm not giving you advice for being a multi-hyphenate if you think that being a multi-hyphenate is wrong. We can't, that's not where the conversation needs to start. I'm not saying that this is what you're doing, but just in case. My art is inspired by other people. Any advice? Maybe community is the answer. There's nothing wrong with that. Maybe I don't understand your question all the way, but a lot of people think, oh, I've got a fear of being seen. Any advice? You don't have a fear of being seen. There's nothing wrong with you. Fear of being seen. You heard that on the internet 5 years ago and you treat it like it's a congenital disease. Fear of being seen is not real. You heard it on the internet 5 years ago in a vulnerable moment, and then everyone started repeating it and you haven't been able to put it down since. Fear of being seen is not real. So someone's going to argue with me and say, no, it's not fear of being seen, it's a fear of being perceived. And someone's going to argue with that and say, oh, it's a fear of being judged. There's nothing wrong with the fact that you can detect the fact that you will be seen, perceived, and judged. You're a human being. Please try to mitigate this world without being seen. The function of an artist is to be seen. The function of the artist is to be judged. The artist exists to put some work of art into the void so that other people can project onto it and understand themselves. If you can feel judgment, if you can feel the fact that you're being seen, that means something is working. That means it's progress from the time when you're in your little inspiration cave and you couldn't detect your audience. I am exhausted. And I say this with love, as someone who's on your side. Exhausted by hearing my generation just find new ways to be defeated, inventing their own. You don't have a fear of being seen. You feel vulnerability, and it's a good thing. Vulnerability is the disposition within us that allows all of this material, this felt material. I'm not engaging with your technique unless you're Leonardo da Vinci. Even Leonardo da Vinci wasn't just a technician. He was a mystic visionary of the heavens. But I'm not engaging with your technique. I'm engaging with your feeling, with your story, with your experience, and not just your experience. I'm truly, if we're being really honest, I'm engaging with my experience inside, held within the cathedral that is your art. That's a secret that the artist knows. I think that when I go to the opera, when I go to a concert, I'm going to see Olivia Dean because I love Olivia Dean. That's not why I'm going to see Olivia Dean. I'm going to see Olivia Dean because something in my heart needs to hear, of course I still care. I'm engaging with myself. So please put to rest all this fear. How do you deal with the fear of this? I have a fear of this. You engage with your fears too much, way too much. And again, that's okay. But please touch grass. There is a self-help industrial complex that wants you to feel broken so that you stop doing your purpose and so that you buy something while you're stuck. Hey, Vanessa, Ketsia, I appreciate the space it takes us. Not gonna lie, I'm a bit uncomfortable. Part of my question is around almost feeling other people are more worthy of muses than myself. Okay, keep finishing your question, dear. You can do it. I can talk about what you're talking about, but I would like to help you with your question. And right now, I don't have enough yet. You don't have to spill your guts, but just try to say a few more words. That'll just give me an idea. Again, I'm not asking you to be more vulnerable than you want to. I'm just asking for a little more data. I promise you, I'm trying to feel into you to answer this question. I'm not just reading it. How can you best soothe the fears that arise from old trauma patterns as you step into your creative wholeness? I'm going to answer this two ways. One, if you're new, I'm going to say something that people who have been here a while have heard me say a lot. One, first, foundational. Your question always contains the answer. That's how wise you are. Oh my God, Kelly, I'm so excited. Your question always contains the answer. That's how wise and how supported you are. Your intuition is guiding you even while you're getting your shit rocked by fear and doubt. I promise you. And I'm yelling because I'm on your side. I promise you that. I care about your work more than you do at this moment. That's my assignment and my autism. Best soothe the fears that arise from old trauma patterns as you step into your creative wholeness. Your question contains the answer. Keep walking. The question is, how do I soothe the fears from old trauma as I step? I doubt in my heart of hearts, I'm going to answer this one way and then I'm going to answer it in a less difficult way. Less, what's the word? I forgot the word. It'll come to me in a second. God, I wish I had the word. Whatever, it doesn't matter. I would wager that question is not a question. It's a statement. Cowering behind a question mark. Let's imagine that that was a statement. I have trauma and fears that I'm trying to soothe. But I'm going to keep walking. The question, as you worded it, I don't mean to be difficult. This is how my brain works. And I'm trying to feel what's going on to the best of my ability in this medium. How can I soothe the fears as I step into my creativity? By stepping into your creativity. You answered your own question. The fears are old. Our brains do not have the capacity to predict the future. Our brains are simple and dense. We know that. We're among the denser of the beings in the cosmos. We know that. More remedial than most. You can't tell the future. Your brain needs new data. It needs new data for what could happen in the future, in the present moment. All you know is what happened in the past. Trauma, disappointment, failure. But by walking into a new experience, you give yourself new data. That's like saying, how do I overcome the fear of skydiving? Because all I've ever done is take the ride up on the plane and skydive, and then I get scared, and then I never do it. And then I never jump out of the plane with my parachute. How do you overcome that fear? By jumping out of the plane with your parachute and showing yourself that you're still safe. Now, beyond that, a little bit more specific advice. Something I say a lot in the Villain Challenge and in all my work. Creativity is not chased or pursued. The destination of creativity, the output, the outcome is not chased or pursued. Creativity is hosted by the body. Anything that you want to do, that you want to create, cannot happen without the body. Cannot happen without the body. I know that eats y'all up. You think it's happening with something like, you think it's happening with your mind or your talent or your resources. That's secondary. It's happening in the body. The mind is secondary to the body. The body encloses the mind and the thoughts, the stories. The body encloses, houses the inspiration. The inspiration is somewhere here in the invisible realms, in the ethers, in the astral, whatever you want to say, from the voice of God, whatever you want to say. And then it comes into the body and it descends closer and closer. And then it works its way into your mind, your dreams, maybe, then your mind. Then you start talking about it. And then it starts working its way into your eyes if you're a painter or a filmmaker. Then it works its way into your voice if you're a singer, if your hands, whatever it is, with your body if you're a dancer. You cannot expect to do something new on behalf of your creativity, to bring something from the invisible realm into the visible realm, our realm, the material world, the matrix, without your body. If you want to do something new with your body, to create something new, step into a new arena, try another project, start after taking a break, after a defeat, whatever it is, bring your body with you. Meditate. Your body is always asking you the question, am I safe? Your body is also the one answering the question, yes, you are. You can increase your body's capacity to answer in the affirmative the question, am I safe? Your body, your joints are designed to help you answer the question, am I safe? Your eyelids, your eyeballs, your feet, your gut, your skin is all designed to help you answer the question, am I safe to create? You think I'm pulling this out of my ass? I'm not. This is the oldest wisdom in the world. It's in every sacred text. The yogic tradition goes crazy about this, but y'all think yoga is stretching. No, it's not. It's fascia and your endocrine system and your strength and your breath. It's not the body. That's the creative engine, those four things. The Christian tradition, it goes crazy about this, but you're not ready for that conversation. I promise you that. You're not ready for it. I am. I'm Catholic. It's my little cross. Christianity says God became flesh. Christ says, take this and eat my body. Body is a big fucking deal to the spiritual texts, especially the most comprehensive one, if you ask me, Christianity. I know that's going to stress some of you out. Forgive me. I became Catholic 3 weeks ago. I've wanted to be Catholic since I was a little girl. Finally happened 3 weeks ago. I wish I could share the mysticism, the magic. If y'all love magic and spells, sovereignty and all this good Bashar, New Age nonsense. And it's not nonsense, it's real. It's just that Christianity is far more complex and advanced. And unfortunately, many of the representatives of the Christian faith have distorted entirely what Christianity is. Thank you. When a grandparent passes and the family stops gathering, now we have been left with all these rich memories. I'm here making sense of it and memorizing him with my art. Yeah, that's a great idea. Yeah, community is a huge aspect. A person needs to be witnessed in their creativity. A person needs to be witnessed in their journey, in their fear, witnessed literally. I don't mean in some kind of nicety. Creativity needs to thank you. I forgot what you guys were saying congratulations about because I don't know what I'm talking about. It just flows. Thank you. It means it's the being confirmed in the Catholic Church is the greatest day of my life. Probably will be the most significant day of my life. I was sobbing. Absolutely sobbing. What I felt. It was an 8-month initiation process. It was rigorous. And it was I don't know why this Christianity shit is so hard for everyone to believe. Y'all believe it when someone says they go to ayahuasca and they saw the lady and the elves and shit, and you do mushrooms and the trees start moving. Why is it so hard to believe that this man says that this man is exactly who he said he was? That I came down with a mission of love, and that the crucifixion was a technology of helping you have more access to God. It was an ascension technology. Why is it so hard to believe? Why is it so hard to hold? I'm not blaming you. I'm just talking. I'm not judging you in any way. I'm addressing the vibes. You're allowed to feel how you feel about God, and you're certainly allowed to doubt him and struggle against him. He knows that. You're allowed to be angry at him. Just like a father that loves you unconditionally. But is it so hard? Is it so hard to believe that man just actually died? God became flesh, rose from the dead. We have in vitro, we have IVF. It's so hard to believe that woman conceived by a divine being. Is that so hard? Is that really that hard? Can you remember your supernatural nature for a second? Can you tap in? It's just so hard to believe that everybody here has a grandma that prayed and created a miracle for their family because of how hard she prayed. Everybody knows somebody or themselves has experienced a near-death experience where they saw something crazy. Everybody here has been through something challenging, profound, difficult, traumatic, and you survived it. Did you forget that you survived it, or did you only remember that you were traumatized? These days, and I think it's the work of Satan, I'll say this explicitly. Satan, evil, not in the metaphorical sense of the word, not in the archetype, not in the tarot card sense of the word, in the exact sense that I mean it. Someone turned the word survivor into a bad thing. And not outrageous, extraordinary, miraculous grace. Half the shit y'all survived is miraculous. The fact that you survived what half of y'all, I don't know your stories, but I know that half of y'all survived something, and the fact that you survived it is a miracle. Because whatever took you down, whatever threatened to take you down, took somebody else down in your family. They didn't make it out in whatever way. You made it. And now someone's telling you, now you say, I'm a survivor. Like it's a bad thing. I know you're traumatized. All of you. I'm talking to all of you. But you're also a survivor. It's hard for me because I associate Christianity with patriarchy and orders. Let's address this. I'm going to address this to the best of my ability. I don't know if I'm going to have the capacity, but I am charged to try. Okay. The question is, Christianity is hard for me because of patriarchy. Now, let's get into it. 1, has the Catholic Church and Christianity done outrageous things in tow with patriarchy? Absolutely. Was the Catholic Church involved with the subjugation of women? Absolutely. No question. There's just zero that you can't look at that another way. That's just what that is. Have outrageous offenses against women been done in the name of God? 1,000,000%. That's a fact. Now, what does the Catholic Church say? 1, what does the Catholic Church say? 1, you're right about that. Man, you're right. Man, you're right. That's what the Catholic Church says. You're right. It was awful. You're right. My bad. Our bad. We're working on that. But 2, those of us who know Christianity, even from childhood or from the lore and the stories and stuff like that, there's this, everyone remembers this, and let me know in the chat if you remember this aspect of a Christian lore. Do not create false idols. Anyone remember that? Raise your hand. Anyone remember that? Do not create false. Everyone's heard that. YouTube is slow. TikTok is cooking. YouTube. They be listening and shit. They're doing podcasts. They're still at work. You know what I'm saying? So remember, the question is Christianity and patriarchy. I'm having a hard time with it. And I'm saying as you should. But it requires a deeper, more rigorous theological understanding. And I believe that the reason you even hold the friction, the tension, the resentment is because you are still trying, maybe in your deepest parts, to understand God. We understand, some of us have come to understand Buddhism and the Eastern traditions as very sacred and spiritual, but that's like, damn, how come Christianity just, how did God, they say, Christians say God is the big one, and Jesus is the main one. And for some reason, I still don't understand the mysticism and the spirituality and the good naturedness of Christianity. But part of you is still holding on to that question. What does the Catholic Church say what that is? That question, the Catholic Church says that even the friction, the doubt, the inquiry, even to the point of resentment, that inquiry is faith. Faith is humanity's natural reaction to God, no matter what the reaction to God is faith. Faith is not believing in things really hard. That's truisms. That's not what the Catholic Church teaches. That's not what the theology says. That's not the doctrine of the church. Faith applied, depending on where you are on your journey, looks like believing in the mystery. But even your doubting the mystery is a version of believing in it, according to the Catholic doctrine. What is that? What is that here to say? No, gotcha. No, it's here to say, man, everybody's welcome. Bro, everybody's welcome. The word Catholic means universal. Everybody's welcome. So you're angry at God? That's faith. You're resentful? You're confused? That's faith. Everybody's welcome. Now, the question is, I don't know what to do about Christianity and patriarchy. And so I'm trying my best to answer this. One, reviewing, patriarchy is real on this planet, and it's outrageous. It's outrageous. You can't walk back from that. Can't argue with that. And we ought not. So have terrible crimes been committed against women in the name in tow with Catholicism? 1,000% has of offenses that happened inside of Catholicism by priests, etc. Yes. But, and we were reviewing this idea of false idols. God said, do not create a false idol. Let's talk about what that means. It doesn't mean God doesn't like golden statues. God's not that basic. That's basic. Imagine the creator of the infinite cosmos being like, everything's cool. I love you unconditionally, except your little gold statue. Imagine God even knowing and giving a shit about a gold statue. Like, that doesn't make sense. But that's the popular understanding. That's how it's taught by people in the church also, regardless of even if that's how it's misunderstood. But what does creating a false idol mean? It means do not project your understanding of God onto me. So, back in the day, when this law was uttered, back in the day, it was in fashion for people to create false idols. Why? Because God had not arrived yet on the planet to give people the technology to communicate with God directly. That was Christ. Back in the day, God is present, but we couldn't access him. So we had to create things that we kind of thought were God, that reminded us of God. Oh, God is kind of the water and the storms, and God is the nature, and God is the sky. We're getting close. And so we built statues to remind us, to help us remember, oh yeah, that's God. Okay. Because again, our species is a remedial a species in its infancy compared to the beings in the cosmos. So God said, going forward, In your development as a species, in your evolutionary journey, no longer do you need to create false idols. Now, it's the language is very scary when he said, do not create false idols. Just like when a parent is trying to teach their little toddler not to touch the hot iron. Don't touch that. The takeaway is not, I don't like false idols. Don't do that. I'm a basic bitch god. No, it's hey, if you project your understanding of your own subjective, limited, remedial understanding of God onto me, you will think that you're talking to me. You will think that you're praying to me, but you're not. So that law, as all laws are, all spiritual laws are, is good advice about how to be safe within your relationship to God. Now, that's false idols. I'm making the point about patriarchy. Stay with me. We are allowed and encouraged to criticize patriarchy. Why? Because according to God, men and women have equal dignity. There is nothing above, man is not above woman, and woman is not above man, according to Catholic theology, Catholic teaching, the doctrine. So, are we right to condemn and criticize and react to the distortion of society organized around patriarchy? Absolutely. Are we right to criticize it even when other actors within the church, in the name of the church, commit patriarchy? Yes, that's encouraged, according to God. Now, is every actor within the church going to see it that way? No, because every human being is subject to the social conditions that they live in. It's hard to escape racism in your mind, patriarchy in your mind. Now, leaning deeper into Catholicism, there is the obvious division of labor between men and women of the cloth. Men can be priests, women can't, for example. So people living inside and suffering from patriarchy see that division of labor and project the patriarchy within their subjective reality onto the spiritual institution of religion, of the church, of Christianity as the spiritual process. So you are suffering with patriarchy as a real lived experience in life, and then you see the division of labor within the church, and you assume that it is also patriarchal. It does not help that people within the Catholic Church are also guilty of participating within patriarchy. But in terms of the church itself, the division of labor in terms of the gender roles, from what I understand and have experienced, because again, I'm a Marxist, staunch Marxist, leftist, far leftist, feminist, it goes without saying. But I'm Catholic and very happy to be. That the doctrine about why there is this division of labor between men and women is again that men and women have equal, but separate dignity. Specifically, the priesthood is about fatherhood. That the clergy, the male clergy, is quite literally doing the dirty work in our world because we live in patriarchy, because we're subject to corrupt kings and rulers and presidents and prime ministers, dukes and shit on our planet. We're subject to people who abuse that power or use authority for bad. But in the church, authority is a servant. If you are the priest, you have the lowest position. The Pope is our Holy Father and has the largest responsibility, and he's in charge of things, but he has the lowest place. Men in the Catholic Church are given the dirty work, hearing confession. It's the cleaning of the toilets. The women are given an entirely different responsibility, and it is elevated. The mother superior. A mother superior walks into a room full of priests, and the men are shaking. They're shaking. So I don't know if that helps anybody. Maybe not. Chat got a little quiet. Likes have stopped a little bit. But the dignity of men and women is equal under God. Patriarchy is something that human beings created, that God despises. Because men and women have equal dignity. So why are the women being subjects of men? When I said that they have equal dignity. Being separate does not mean less in dignity. So the church is not organized to be patriarchal. It's organized to reflect and mirror the dignity that God says. It's organized along spiritual principles, not along social principles. And as a feminist, I have been shocked because, again, I'm 38 years old and I just became Catholic. I am shocked about my experience with priests because what I've learned in the last 8 months in my relationship with my priests is this idea of fatherhood. I've never had a father. It's never really bothered me. It's never, my mother did an excellent job. My grandfather stepped in, and it was like I called my grandfather dad for the first 15 years of my life. But I've never had a father. The way the priest's orders and vows are about fatherhood, to provide fatherhood to the planet. The Pope's responsibility is to act like a father to everyone he meets. A father, unlike our parents, unlike our fathers, are held to a standard, the highest possible standard. The Pope only reports, of course, to his flock, but has an extraordinary responsibility and consequences for his missteps. God is in his ear in extraordinary. God disciplines the Pope and all popes. The reason I think that most people in our generation, you should have seen Pope Francis, but a lot of people are loving Pope Leo, even if you're an atheist. They're like, oh, he's so cute. Recently, we've hit Pope Leo's remarks about the war with Iran. Has gotten some credit. Or people have been noticing it, rather. It's going viral. Why? My thesis, based on my own experience and how I relate to it, at least, is that I'm 38 years old, and we know the joke about millennials. It's been a long time since we felt an adult in the room. Someone who is having an opinion about war, politics, that is not in any encampment politically, that his authority, that his ethics, that his virtue is governed by something completely different other than when's the last time you thought about the world, about a political issue outside of the lens of a political party's party line? You would have to really stop. How do you feel about climate change? And then you immediately start going down the line. And then you immediately start you feel that you have to put yourself in a camp. Pope Leo is outside of it. War is bad. I don't care who you are. That's what a father does. Not what your father did. Not what the TV fathers do. But that's what fatherhood is. That fatherhood is a spiritual conviction. It's an assignment. Fatherhood is an assignment. And it's not earthly. It's spiritual. You shall tend to this person in a way that they can rely on for ultimate structure. People are falling in love with Pope Leo because they're feeling the vibes of fatherhood. I was going through something and I was talking to my friends at church when I was getting confirmed. And someone's like, why don't you tell your father? And I immediately was like, I don't know my father. And I started telling the whole story about my trauma and stuff like that. But they're like, no, dear. Tell Father Chris. Tell your father. I'm like, oh yeah, I can tell Chris. And they're like, no, 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 father. And they're trying to, and I thought I was just like, I needed to like have respect and deference and just give him the name. Nobody like, they're trying to get me to understand because I'm new to Catholicism. He is your father. It's not a metaphor. He's your father. Go to him for everything. Cry about your breakup? Call your priest. Having doubts about God? Call your priest. You found out you got pregnant? Call your father and tell him. And his job is to behave in your life like a father, a good one. Now, does everybody do that? No, because we're flawed. But that's what the priesthood is. It's fatherhood. So, as much as I love God and I love talking about God and I have the gift, I think, in theology, I do not want to be a priest because I don't want to be a father. Does that make sense? Anyway, I appreciate your questions and for giving me the opportunity to, yeah, just flesh some stuff out. That's a thesis that I'm working on. And your work in your spiritual journey is to hold accountable the church and Christians for what they do. But you have to understand beyond church, beyond the structure of religion, what God intends. And I believe that everybody alive right now is craving objectivity within the mystery. And I feel very strongly about that, and it concerns me. All of our self-help books, it's not really hitting the same anymore. We're all going through it ritualistically, habitually, engaging in self-help discourse. It doesn't scratch the itch. And the itch is it's hurting. They're eating the babies, literally. Throwing people in cages. Wiping out the Holy Land and all of its residents. People are craving a type of rest. They're tired of being deceived and lied to and exploited by the people who you elect, invest in, whatever it is. And it's starting to add up. It's starting to add up, not just for on your little soul, but because, my God, they're eating the babies. 3,000 children go missing from Disneyland every year. What? It's starting to add up. It's not just happening to the people of color over there for whom you can, donate something to. No, it's creeping in. And it's not just creeping into your material conditions, to your wages, to the cost of living, to your health insurance costs, it's et cetera. It's creeping into your heart space. And people are tired. And my thesis, I'm going to say it very plainly, is that people are starting to realize and feel what it feels like to be godless and the cost of that. That back in the day, someone taught us that being intelligent meant to be outside of religion. I understand why we were taught that, because the people who were boasting about being religious are the ones starting the wars and ignoring the climate and stuff like that. I understand that. But that godless living, we're starting to feel. At the same time, everyone is carrying injuries, wounds, pain, trauma, abuse that was carried out in the name of religion. And I'm asking you to have a conversation with yourself at some point about which one of those desires is louder in you. The desire to continue to ruminate, or the desire to feel rested, to find objectivity, to feel this sense of home deep in your soul, that you're tired of going out and you're tired of watching the same shows and drinking the same drinks and scrolling your life away. And there is no other solution. You can't ice bath yourself out of this particular thing. You can't habit stack your way out of this angst in you. And in my experience, that ache, as Richard Rohr says, one of my favorite theologians, he says, there is a God-shaped hole in all of us. And the God of crusades, patriarchy, slavery, racism is not God. And you have an ache in your heart that tells you that that's true and that you have to keep on walking in your spiritual journey. Do not give up because it's easier. Do not give up because the new age guy says something that makes you feel better in the moment. Ask yourself, does it just make sense and satisfy my curious mind for the moment? Or does it put my heart at rest once and for all? The new agey guy, the techniques, the strategies, the gospel according to the Magdalene, the lady, all that stuff is real and intelligent and sophisticated, but does it, the heart, do you feel rested? All of these, you see the people who are just in love with God and they get it. And they said, man, I didn't believe in it, but now I believe in it. Golly. And you're like, God, those corny motherfuckers, they're over here talking about Jesus and with their full chest. How the fuck is that possible? Stay curious about that question. Because you already are curious. You've written it off because of pain, but the pain is valid. But the longing for God remains. Anyway, did that help anybody? I don't know. I just kind of rambled. I'm so glad. Well, thank you guys. As always, likes, shares help a great deal. Please like and subscribe. Please subscribe. And if you can manage a little support, it really does help. I do these lives because I feel like I'm doing a shift in my purpose. And every little bit sustains me. You can join my live workshop tonight. Link is in the bio. Or you can join my Discord channel, or you can a little donation here and there by way of gifts. Okay. Consider a like or a subscription or becoming a supporter. Thank you very much, guys. I'm going to head out for the day. I'll post the live to my YouTube. This was a good one. Thank you.